You're still required to have headlights on.
Can you pull that law up?
Huh?
Can you pull that law up?
Yeah, when you step out of the car, I will.
Can you call your supervisor?
Huh?
Can you call your supervisor?
All right, go for it.
Exit the vehicle now. Exit the vehicle. Show me your hands.
Here.
Justification 33 at 15:21 hours.
I'm here. What is your reason, sir?
Step out.
What is your reason?
Step out now.
All right.
Oh,
Don't.
Get on the ground.
Stop fighting.
Put your hands on your back.
Put your hands behind your back.
Now, my friends, let's get one thing straight right out of the gate here. What you just saw should never happen on a routine traffic stop, period. This young man that you see on your screen right now is 22-year-old William McNeil Jr. He was calm. His hands were up. He wasn't shouting. He was not threatening this officer. He wasn't reaching for any knife or any gun, no matter what the alleged police report says. And yet, boom, this cop punches him in the face, and not just one time. He punched him one time inside the car, and then when he got out of the car, he punched him again. This guy was pulled over allegedly because his windshield wipers were on, and yet the lights to his car were not on. Now, this officer claims it was raining outside, but I got a question for you. Do you see any rain? On your screen right now is the actual body cam videotape that I was able to obtain from this officer. Now, listen, this officer is a real piece of work. His name is Officer Donald Bowers. If you look at this video, the road is completely dry. There's no rain. The windshield is clear. There's not a drop of water anywhere in sight. What you just watched is a textbook example of a cop using the so-called gray area, or what I like to call a gray area excuse to initiate a stop, and then, of course, escalating it under color of law. And all of this, my friends, is extremely questionable. And let me make one thing very clear right off the bat here. Florida law requires that your headlight is on if it's rainy, if it's foggy, if it's smoky, and between roughly the hours of dusk to dawn. That is a statute. I've heard many commentators, many news reporters saying basically, hey, it is law that if you have your windshield wipers on, you must have your headlights on. And guess what? That is not true. It's just the fact that in general practice, most of the courts have interpreted this law to say effectively, if your windshield wipers are on, you must have your lights on. But what if you're just cleaning your windshield and you just happen to have the wipers on? Well, again, it's one of these gray areas of the law. The police know this. This officer knew this. And in my opinion, this is your classic, what I call pretextual type of stop. I want to make sure we're very clear about that, because there is a legal doctrine called the poisonous fruit of the tree. And what I'm getting at here is if this stop, which I believe this stop was definitely illegal, aka unconstitutional, then all the fruit that came as a result of this stop is basically subject to just being tossed out, as it should be in this particular case. To quote the statute exactly, Florida Statute 316.217, Section 1, subsection B states, every vehicle operated upon a highway within this state shall display lighted lamps and illuminating devices during any rain, smoke, or fog, period. Let's watch together the police yanking this man out of the car from their own badge cams, and let's talk about it. Here they go, dragging him out. He's asking him, what's the reason?
No, don't freak out.
Put your hands behind your back. Resist. Hands behind your back.
You notice how they keep saying, stop resisting, put your hands behind your back, stop resisting, stop fighting, words to that effect. That is classic, ladies and gentlemen. Absolutely classic behavior by the police, because when they say stop resisting, by inference, when you go back and look at the camera, the body camera, whatever camera, it leads the viewer to believe that this person must be resisting. Otherwise, why would the police officers be saying that? It's just a psychological fact, and you need to be aware of it when you're watching any type of body camera coverage.
Exit the vehicle now. Exit the vehicle. Show me your hands.
Here.
Justification 33 at 15:21 hours.
I'm here. What is your reason, sir? What is your reason?
Step out now. All right.
Oh, no.
Boom.
Why did you use that type
Boom.
of force when a person is not being combative?
Well, there you have it. The second hit outside of the vehicle. I hear commentators all over the place saying things like, hey, this guy refused commands to get out of the car. And by the way, if you are pulled over by a police officer and they instruct you out of the vehicle, get out of the vehicle. You don't have to answer questions. I advise you not to answer questions. That's what I tell people not to do. There's really no reason to answer questions. You just be polite, be calm, put your hands on the steering wheel if you're pulled over. You don't have to be rude or insulting. If a police officer asks you a question such as, hey, where are you going or where are you coming from? You can simply say, respectfully, officer, I just don't want to answer questions. Let it go, let it be. Just that simple. But make no mistake about it. If you are instructed to get out of the vehicle, get out of the vehicle. You are not going to win a fight right there on the street. That is what the courts are for. I want to be extremely clear. I am a avid police supporter. I do not believe in that defund the police nonsense. However, I have to be complete and honest, as I always have been on my channel, and that is that the policing itself needs some serious reform, some serious help. We need to basically look at policing and come up with better ways of policing the citizens of our country. This type of behavior that is shown in this video is highly unacceptable. And in my opinion, there is no reasonable theory or basis in which you can say, hey, this was justified. This kid to me looks like a good kid. He made poor judgment as far as shutting his door and not getting out of his car. But let's make no mistake about it. You know, and I know this was a pretext stop. Under no circumstance did this officer have a valid legal reason to pull him over. They just simply invented it. And folks, this guy, this cop is a bad egg in my humble opinion. Again, 5 reports have been taken against this individual. I will continue to look into the alleged malfeasance of this officer, and I'll report back to you accordingly. But there is no excuse for this officer to break a window like that, then take his hand and wad it up in a fist and stick it right in the kid's face. Of course, there are many good cops out there, but I also believe that power without accountability is extremely dangerous. What we saw here is a microcosm of a bigger issue. And this issue is very straightforward and clear. A young man was pulled over for a nonsense reason. An officer reciting policy like it's law, and it was not law. It was just their policy. It's a pretext stop, and it turned out to have a violent ending. And folks, there's one thing you want to make sure you don't forget. This officer put on his police report that this young man was reaching for a sheath knife that was allegedly found located on the passenger side in the floor. Clearly, the video does not support that finding. But let me say this further. Can you imagine the problem this kid would be in had he not have the video? And shame on the Jacksonville Police Department. The sheriff of the Jacksonville Police Department went on TV, had a press conference, and it basically said words to the effect of, he's not going to condemn the officer's action, nor is he going to approve of it. What? What is that all about? Leadership must hold their representatives, their employees, accountable. You don't need to do an investigation to know that there's malfeasance here. This is wrong. This was an assault on this young man, a clear violation of his constitutional rights. If William McNeil did not have that video, the officer's version would have been treated like gospel. There would have been no way to say that this guy is lying or this guy is making it all up. Of course, unfortunately, that is the game that many of our police officers orchestrate. This had nothing to do with headlights. This was all about control, all about writing tickets, making money for the local police department. This is about how the police fish, how they fish us to find reasons to charge us with crimes or to write us tickets to make us pay, using this quote unquote rain law as a pretext to pull over someone like this young man was pulled over, digging into their record to see what sticks. This is nonsensical. It should not be allowed in our society. This reminds me of the magical police dog that we see all the time on movies like Cops. Basically, they have this police dog, and this police dog goes around, and we know what's going on here. The controller of the dog can make the dog sit anytime they want the dog to sit. You know what that dog is? It's a probable cause machine that allows the police to harass ordinary citizens and allows them to check vehicles whenever they choose to. And if you're sitting there listening to this video and thinking to yourself, hey, this will never happen to me, you better think again. This happens every day. You as an adult, you as an individual are responsible for yourself. You must learn your rights, know how to exercise your rights, know how to survive an interaction with the police department. It is really just that simple. Don't always assume that someone with a badge is going to tell the truth. In my opinion, you need to make sure you are recording your driving and definitely any police interactions with a dash cam like this young man had. Fortunately for this kid, he will not be just another black male that was pulled over, assaulted by the police. This kid's name is not just going to get buried along with many other names. He did the right thing by recording this interaction. Thank you for being here and tuning in. If you like this type of content and you have not done so already, hit the thumbs up button and be sure to subscribe so you are made aware when my next video comes out. Again, thanks for tuning in with me today. I sincerely appreciate it. Always like to say, keep that mind free and never give up. Until next time, my friends, I am J.R. Dukes.